return on ESPN. So Jayson Tatum made an appearance at the ESPYs last night as a presenter for the Gatorade Best Male and Female High School Players of the Year. He also spoke on the ESPYs red carpet about his former Celtics teammate Jaylen Brown's trade. Listen to this.
If I'm being transparent, it's weird.
Yeah.
Right? I've been on the Celtics for 9 years, and he was my teammate every single one of those. You understand throughout, the course of a career that the NBA is a business, and people change teams and change coaches and front office, but it doesn't make it any easier. There's still a human element of it that you feel those emotions. The city feels those emotions. But there's also a side of, we have to welcome our new teammates in with open arms, and we still have to attack the new season.
Yeah.
So there's a balance, but it's weird.
Feels weird for Jayson Tatum. Fair enough. Perk, what's your reaction to Tatum's thoughts?
Well, I'm going to say this. When I was traded from the Celtics in 2010, I believe it was, 2010, 2011, we shedded tears. You know what I'm saying? Like we had real tears, KG, Paul, Rondo, Doc, when we had to have that hard conversation that I was actually traded and moving on. Right there, it was key things that you look at. Jayson Tatum said, yeah, it's hard when you've been teammates with a guy. He didn't call him his brother. So, again, I'm not sitting up here saying that they had the best relationship or that they had to have the best relationship, because they didn't. At the end of the day, it answers a lot of questions that was out there about the relationship between Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. It wasn't a heartfelt message that went out from Jayson Tatum on IG. He thanked Jaylen Brown for the years. He thanked him, for the run that they had, winning the NBA championship. And then he went back to reverting and saying that, hey, just now in that interview, that it's business, and that now they have to move on, and he got to accept and deal with the new teammates that he do have. So, again, a lot of speculations were out there, but as people start to talk and we start to hear more from Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, things that we were assuming and the sources and information that we was gathering is coming to light, and it was true.
Yeah, I think, Shay, it's more about what Jaylen and Jayson haven't said, like Perk mentioned there. It's because obviously Jaylen has had, streams, and he put out a very long statement that didn't include anything about the Celtics or any individual players. It wasn't just Tatum, Perk. He didn't talk about any of his former teammates. So it's not just about the Tatum-Brown relationship, although that's the most relevant one. How about whatever he's got to say about just about anybody on that team, including his former head coach and his former executive in Brad Stevens. So I think what we're seeing here, Shay, is an all-time epic. I'm going to prove the other one. I'm going to prove that I'm right by living better. And I think Jaylen is going to want to come out and have a great year with the 76ers and have the Sixers finish ahead of the Celtics and go farther in the playoffs. And it's being left unsaid that the Celtics believe this is no rebuild from the Celtics. They believe that they're going to be in just as good of a footing, maybe even better. They're expecting to finish ahead of the 76ers and go far.
I'm still trying to process the news of Jaylen Brown being traded from the Boston Celtics. As a huge NBA fan, I have to say that this move has left me with more questions than answers. Jayson Tatum, Brown's former teammate, recently spoke out about the trade, and his comments have been making waves in the basketball world. I want to dive into what Tatum had to say and explore what this means for the Celtics and the NBA as a whole. Tatum's comments came during an interview on the ESPYs red carpet, where he discussed the trade and how it affects him. He said, "If I'm being transparent, it's weird, right? I've been on the Celtics for 9 years, and he was my teammate every single one of those. I can understand why Tatum would feel this way, given the amount of time he and Brown spent together on the court. They were teammates for nearly a decade, and that kind of bond isn't easily broken. But what really caught my attention was when Tatum said, you understand throughout, course of a career that the NBA is a business and people change teams and change coaches and front office. This is a very mature and realistic perspective from Tatum, and it shows that he understands the nature of the league. However, he also acknowledged that it doesn't make it any easier and that there's still a human element of it that you feel those emotions. I think this is a really important point, because while the NBA is a business, it's also a sport that's driven by human emotions and Relationships. Players form bonds with each other, and when those bonds are broken, it can be tough to deal with. Tatum's comments show that he's not just a talented player, but also a thoughtful and empathetic person who understands the complexities of the game. As I listened to Tatum's interview, I couldn't help but think about the implications of the trade for the Celtics. The team has been rebuilding its roster, and the loss of Brown is a significant blow. But Tatum's comments suggest that the team is moving forward, and that they're focused on the future. He said, "We have to welcome our new teammates and with open arms, and we still have to attack the new season." This kind of attitude is exactly what the Celtics need right now, and it's encouraging to see Tatum taking a leadership role. But what about Jaylen Brown? How does he feel about the trade, and what's next for him? Brown has been quiet about the trade, but his actions speak louder than words. He's been working hard in the offseason, and it's clear that he's focused on proving himself with his new team, the Philadelphia 76ers. I think this is going to be a fascinating storyline to watch, as Brown tries to prove himself in a new city and Tatum tries to lead the Celtics to success without him. As the season approaches, I have to ask, who has more to prove? Is it Tatum, who needs to show that the Celtics made the right decision in trading Brown? Or is it Brown, who needs to prove that he's still a top player in the league? I think it's a bit of both, but if I had to choose, I'd say it's Tatum. The Celtics are counting on him to lead the team, and he needs to deliver. The NBA is a league of superstars, and Tatum is one of the brightest young stars in the game. He's got the talent, the work ethic, and the dedication to succeed at the highest level. But he's also got a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he needs to prove that he can handle it. I think he can, but it's going to be a challenging season for him and the Celtics. As I look back on Tatum's comments, I'm struck by his maturity and his understanding of the game. He's not just a player, he's a leader, and he's going to be a key figure in the NBA for years to come. The trade of Jaylen Brown is a significant moment in the history of the Celtics, but it's also an opportunity for Tatum to step up and show what he's capable of. I'm excited to see what the future holds for him and the Celtics, and I think this season is going to be one of the most compelling in recent memory. The Celtics and the 76ers are going to be two of the most interesting teams to watch this season, and their matchup is going to be one of the most highly anticipated games of the year. Tatum and Brown are going to be facing off against each other, and it's going to be a battle for the ages. I think Tatum is going to come out on top, but Brown is going to give him a run for his money. In the end, the trade of Jaylen Brown is a reminder that the NBA is a business, but it's also a sport that's driven by human emotions and relationships. Tatum's comments show that he understands this, and that he's ready to move forward and lead the Celtics to success. I'm excited to see what the future holds for him and the team, and I think this season is going to be one to remember.